excited to be speaking with David Liban from Colorado, and we are screening his amazing film called Love Less Likely, a dark comedy at the Houston Comedy Film Festival. David, David, what inspired you to create this story?
Well, I am a fan of dark comedy, and so I had recently, before we started on this film, I had made another feature film called Publish or Perish, which is a dark comedy. And so I found that that was my wheelhouse. I really enjoyed making films that make people laugh. I myself am drawn to dark comedy more than like slapstick comedy. And it just occurred to me that, what would be this, when I write, I don't always know where I'm going, but so I start with a character. And so I created the character of Miranda, and the idea of that struck me as like, well, what if she was cursed and the men she had sex with all died? What would that be for that person? And I also like movies like, A Perfect World, where there's like an adult and a child and they have this relationship. And so I just thought it would be funny to have this woman who is like, she can't get involved with any man, anything, because she's afraid that she could somehow hurt them. And then you have this little boy who is, he's got these brand new hormones and he's attracted to her. And so we've got this ridiculous desire from this child with this woman who is like, A, she's too old, B, she's cursed, and C, like she's not interested, but she needs a friend. And so they become friends and they have this journey together. I'm not sure where it came from, but it just sort of happened as I wrote it.
And even with the characters, how did you even find them from casting? Because I believe Miranda, she's based in New York, and I know with her journey, she's done many short films.
Well, before she moved to New York, she's from Colorado. She was
Okay.
living here at the time when we were shooting the movie. So I held an audition, and actually, a guy that I worked with on my publisher Parish, who is in this film too. He's one of the boyfriends who had an untimely death. He had worked with her in a stage play of Rent. And so he recommended I talk to her because I was kind of looking for a Hispanic woman to play that role. And he said, you should talk to Karen. And when I talked to her, she immediately like had it. And it just clicked. She did a great audition. She did great with the child that we were auditioning. And so it just seemed like and she was so committed to the role. It was really great.
And even with Bruno, what was that like casting him and working with him on set and making sure that he was comfortable?
So his mother was with us the whole time, and so we had to have her permission because he's kind of a precocious child in the character, and he has to, use bad language. I always think it's funny when little kids use, harsh language. Like I think The Bad News Bears is one of my favorite movies from my childhood because I just think
Like
it's
what?
funny to hear kids with nasty mouths. I just think it's funny. So, he's a very bright kid, right? And so he understood the innuendos, and his mother kind of helped him through the things that he may or may not understand. And so it was great working with him because for a kid who's only been he's only done a commercial, he never really did any kind of filmmaking before, and he's a natural. The kid just
Yeah.
took direction. He understood. He was very smart,
Patient.
communicative. Yeah, and so he really stands out. He's a very talented kid.
Excellent job. Were there any moments that you had to cut that you didn't want to cut, but you had to cut it because maybe you didn't have enough time? I'm curious of any scenes that you were married to.
I didn't really have to cut anything. I mean, the film was written originally as a feature film, and so when we made this film, I rewrote it to make a short version of it as
Mm.
a proof of concept, thinking that if this is very successful, I could use this as a launching point to make a feature film. So I cut out a whole lot of stuff and side plots in order to make this piece here. But once I wrote the short version of it, it's pretty much all stayed.
Is there any advice that you would give to any aspiring filmmakers? Because you have skin in the game, you have a lot of experience. And I know that there are many people right now, they are confused with what's happening in the world right now. And they know that they want to start somewhere, but they just don't know what to do.
Yeah. Where do you start? So the truth of it is that, independent filmmaking is a challenging time to take this on such an endeavor. because there isn't a lot of support for it. Hollywood has no interest in independent film, and what they call independent film, in my mind, isn't independent film because they're putting, millions and millions of dollars. Independent filmmakers don't work in that kind of scenario. So the truth of it is, if you want to make a film, you just do it. Don't ask for permission. Write something down, write a script, spend the time to have a good story with a beginning, middle, and end. And I'm a professor of film, and so I see a lot of students writing films, yet they really have a concept. They don't really have a story. And so they have to really understand what a story is. You got to have that beginning, middle, and end. There has to be some kind of conflict in order for your audience to kind of stay and care about your characters. So the two things I would say is write a script, spend the time writing the script for the film that you want to see. Don't let people tell you you can't do it, and just do it. Beg, borrow, steal, make the money, make the film that you want to make. And if you're going to wait for permission from the studios for you to make your movie, you could be waiting for the rest of your life. Like in Hollywood, you hear it all the time. People will spend 10 years to get a film made. I don't want to wait 10 years. I want to make the film, and so that's, if you are, and I'm not in the Hollywood system, so it's not even an option for me. So if I waited for Hollywood, they're not calling. So I would just say, just make the film you want to make, you know, and don't worry about it. I mean, you still have to come up with some money, but you really don't have to make movies for millions of dollars. It's not necessary.
That was very powerful, investing in yourself, starting with somewhere. So, how long have you been teaching at the film university?
Well, I've taught at a bunch of different schools. I've been teaching at CU Denver now for about 20 years. And before that, I was in University of Memphis. Before that, I was in George Washington University, and I started at Savannah College of Art and Design. So I've been doing it for longer than I like to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
David, absolute honor. Excited. Hopefully I will be seeing you in person, and definitely you're doing your thing. You're doing your thing, and I'm gonna make sure that I share what you just said. I'm gonna make sure that people hear this message from you. It's very important because, like, don't hear it from me, Mr. David. He has all the credentials. Listen to him. So I'm gonna make sure people hear this. So I want to make sure that we spread this message.
Thank you. I appreciate that.